Good evening. My name is Megan Sapp Nelson, and I am the team advisor for the EPICS team EII, which is Engineering Improvement Initiatives, and Environmental Improvement Initiatives. And I am also the Project Archivist advisor. So teams can choose to have one or more project archivists who are in charge of the documentation creation at the team level for the projects. And this session is an active learning session. What we do in this session is we peer review team documentation. So the first step is going to be you need to have team documentation in order to participate with this session. So you need to have a design document, or you need to have some sort of documentation that other people can look at, whether that's on SharePoint or that is on a laptop, like whether that's on a laptop or on a phone or a tablet. You need to have some sort of documentation that you can show other people. So get access to that. The next step is, this session is intended to expose you to the documentation from teams that you are not familiar with. So if you are sitting by someone from your team, you're going to have to move. So find someone to sit by who you do not know and introduce yourself. Okay. All right, I'm going to use the camp. Do you know this? You clap back at me when you hear me clap? All right, let's practice. Okay, great. So I'm losing my voice, so I'm not going to be able to holler over you to get your attention. So I'm going to clap. Then when you hear me clap, you clap back. That means we're going to come back together. What we're going to do today is we're going to do 2 rounds of peer review. And we are going to be looking for different things in both rounds. And you are going to be giving constructive feedback on each other's documents in preparation for final design review during this session, is the point of this session. But first, we're going to quickly talk about what are some things that you could be looking for during those constructive feedback times. So we do 2 rounds because I want you to be looking for 2 different forms. The first round is going to be the actual design content. The second round is going to be form. So it's going to be about presentation. It's going to be about making it easier to read. So that's the second round. The first round is going to be about the design, communicating the design, and what you don't understand about the design. Okay. So what are some things that you can be looking for in the first round? Just brainstorm, popcorn style. You can call out to me and to the class. What are some things that you can be looking for to offer feedback on in terms of the design content of the documentation? Yes? Did they follow the design life cycle and the steps of a design process? Is that evident in the documentation? Yes. Any others? What are some tools that you could look for there? Decision matrices, photos, making sure that units of measure, labels are clear, acronyms are dead. You do not want to use acronyms because people who are outside your project don't understand what acronyms mean, right? You're looking for the clarity of where design decisions happened. So if it's not clear why a design decision was made, you want to point that out and make sure that they get a chance to correct that. What are some other ways that you could provide feedback on design content of a document? Yeah. Table of contents, yes. What else? Okay. All right, so we're going to do this in 2 rounds, so that means we're going to take 10 minutes, and you're just focusing on design content. We're not editing right now. We're not focusing on how to make it easier to read or anything. It's just what's the design content that's in front of you on the document. So we are going to start in 10 seconds. Exchange your documents. You get 10 minutes. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, that's the way this works. Well, not every group, but basically it's a popcorn style again. Like, what did you see? What are some themes?
Oh,
and
it's not anything like this group did this or this group did that.
No.
Because I was going to say, if we did that, we might want to have an extra mic so it's on the tape. But if you're going to repeat it, or
I generally try to repeat it back so the whole room can hear anyway.
okay.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
that's
or
fine.
Do you want another mic?
No, the extra mic is just a little bit more work. You just have to walk it around. So, yeah. All right.
Cool.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
I like to say, first of all, I really like the there was like a flow chart, something like that. It showed like the processes. Yeah, like this. It's actually, especially because I'm not like, I mean, I'm going into this but not going computer science, so I'm not, yeah, stuff I would understand, but this is something I can understand. This is something I can definitely understand.
Thank you. Two minutes.
It was fall. It started before 2016 or so. Yeah.
thank you. All right, so time to report out. What did you see that was done well in the documentation? Yes?
His group is doing like a web app, and in one part there was like a flow chart showing you how you can go from one part to another part of the app, which is nice to see.
Okay, so flow charting that shows, for a web app, that shows the layout of the software, but in the documentation. Yeah, okay, great. What else? What else was done well in the documentation? Yes?
He has nice design pictures that show us how the structure of the material is built.
Okay, so the liberal use of pictures to explain the design in the documentation. Okay, great. Yes?
Timelines and decision matrices.
Okay, so the timelines and decision matrices were included in the document. All right, great. Yes?
The dimension included in the pictures, the
So-
detail of the pictures.
Okay, so the detailed dimensions for the design were included in the pictures. Okay, great. What else? Yes?
They had a chart in their design document that like very clearly showed what parts of the design process they were in and how each one went.
Okay, so there's a chart that shows where they are in the design process, and it clearly shows what they've progressed through so far. Yes, okay, that's very helpful, especially for an external design reviewer that needs to quickly reference where they've gotten to. Yeah. Yes?
In the design docs, there's like in the project identification chart, it has like different steps or like benchmarks, and then it has like specific places like where that can be found, so like evidence can be found, and then it has like links to where like that is. So it's like
Okay, great. So they have links to the evidence of the accomplishments for each of the stages in their design life cycle. Right? Okay, that's great. Any others? Yes?
There was like a good balance of either like being like really thorough when you needed to be like breaking down each like system and subsystem like with justifications and things, but otherwise, but like also good like summaries and like just condensed information when it didn't need it to be very like long and like drawn out.
Okay, so there's a good balance between introductory material and detail when there needed to be detail. Okay. All right. So can you tell me what needs to be improved in order for a person who is not familiar with the project to be able to understand the design decisions that were made in the documentation that you were looking at? Yes?
in this document, they have a lot of pictures, but none that fully explain what they're trying, it's for experiments, and so
Okay.
It doesn't actually show what kind of experiments are being done. It's just more of the end result, so it doesn't show the process.
Okay, so in this case, there are a lot of pictures that show the end result of the experiment, but it doesn't show the process that gets you to that point in the experiment. So the information there is incomplete to help a person who's external to the project actually understand how you got to that point in the design life cycle. So that's very useful feedback. Any others? Yes?
Including background information to show like why you made the decision you did, like including stuff from last semester and the semester before is really important, even though it's outdated and not necessarily what you're working on.
Right.
It shows why you're making the decisions that you are.
Right. So the context in which design decisions were made is really important. Even though you know what decisions were made 2 semesters ago that led to the point that you're at, the external design reviewer that is coming in 2 weeks does not have that context. And so if they're reading this document in a vacuum, will they understand why that decision was made this semester based on the information from 2 semesters ago, if that information from 2 semesters ago was not included in this document? Right. Okay, what other feedback do you have? What information needs to be included around the design decisions from this semester that was not in the document? Okay. So what form of accountability or what steps need to be taken in the next week to week and a half to improve the design portion of this document that you were just discussing? Like, what's the action item? Yes?
His design document should have more like real pictures. Not like his design document has a lot of design drawing, but there's no like real product prototype. So I think it would help if you.
Okay. So in this case, the action item is include photographs of prototypes. Okay. What other action items are there? Yes?
For this document, they could include like what they're going to do for the rest of the semester, as opposed to just like what they have done, like what they plan to do.
Okay. So going back and including the final to-do list for the next few weeks of the semester in the document. Okay? There's an action item. Any other action items? Okay, we are going to turn around. We're going to do the second round of peer review. This time we're going to focus on the editing and the readability, the conciseness, the usability of the document for an external audience. So this is different than the design component. The design component is for, can people understand the design process that is going on based on the information that's in the document? This is just, is this document a good, readable, usable document? And what do we need to do in order to make this a good, usable document for someone to read, anybody to read, okay? So again, we're gonna do the same thing, 10 minutes, all right, go.
Especially if it's, they probably wouldn't, but like if they were to really do a hard copy of a link. That's kind of weird. I think that it was more, so I mean, obviously, I feel like when I see this like computer, it's not super shut down.
Am I out of battery?
No, you're good.
Okay. Okay.